Hey guys, Renzolian here, and welcome back to another custom action figure review. Today we're taking a look at Hat Kid from A Hat in Time. And I already know what you guys are thinking. You're like, Renzo, nobody gives a piss about Hat in Time. Well, I do. It's one of my favorite games of all time, which may sound like an exaggeration, but it was really one of those special games that just made me kind of fall in love with video games all over again. Maybe it was because of the circumstances. I was kind of in a place where I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was stuck at my grandma's waiting to move, and that was the game that I played during that time, and I fell in love with it. The music, the charm of the game, the gameplay itself, the story is a lot of fun. There's just a lot of little things. So I really just wanted a way to memorialize that game and my love for it, so I said, hey, screw it, why don't we make a custom action figure, which is easier said than done. So I'll talk a little bit about Hat Kid herself because not too many people are going to understand this character. You know, I did the Bounceman custom, and people really like that custom because it's One Piece, and One Piece is super popular, but Hat in Time is nowhere near, even remotely on the same scale as popularity as One Piece, and especially not in the custom action figure world. So yeah, I figure it makes sense to just briefly explain a little bit about Hat Kid herself. So Hat Kid is the main character of the game Hat in Time, which released in 2017. It was an indie, kickstarted 3D platformer game, and Hat Kid herself is kind of a, not silent protagonist, she does say some things, kind of like Mario though, where she'll say specific catchphrases, but for the most part she's pretty silent. She does actually have a lot of personality. She's kind of smug, and she's a little bit sarcastic, but in a funny way. And she usually just has like little quips and stuff like that. She also might be an alien despite looking like a human child. I don't know. There's a schematic in the game where you see like her biology, and she's clearly not human, so I don't know what the hell she is. The whole plot of the game too is that you're trying to collect timepieces, which are what power your spaceship, and you're trying to get back home, and where home is left completely vague. We don't know. As you may notice throughout the video, I am using the Ellie Williams stand or plaque or whatever from the Left Behind or whatever it was, the 2-pack with Joel and Ellie, the third-party figures, just purely because she just cannot stand very well, and that is something that I'll talk about more while we actually talk about the custom. But in case you guys are wondering what this is all about, well, that's the reason why. So I'd like to just briefly break down Hat Kid's design process because it was a very interesting one. It was very different from Luffy, which was mostly just gathering different parts and pieces. This one was a little bit more involved of a process. Now this one was technically simpler. There was a lot less steps to this custom, but still it was a very interesting process because Hat Kid's design is so incredibly specific. It is so, like, you can't really find too many character designs, or especially fodder, like action figure fodder. There was a little mini statue, I think, given out with some of the games, like some of the physical editions or something, I don't know, some weird little limited edition statue. It's pretty shitty, as far as I've seen. There's like no reviews of it on YouTube, like it has like no coverage, and that was what I was thinking to use as the head. I still don't have that figure. It's fairly pricey on the aftermarket, so I'm not really looking to go back and get it. It also just doesn't do a good job at looking like the character, in my opinion, which was another really big stipulation for me. I really needed this to look like my mental image of the character. So with any good custom, you need some fodder and a base body to work off of. Only problem is, what the hell am I gonna do for Hat Kid? She has such a specific look for her character. What could possibly work? Well, your boy Bionic Kasai came in clutch. Ty helped me obviously a lot with this custom. He's been very helpful in my customizing endeavors, you know, because he's got a lot of experience, so it's been great asking for his advice. When I initially threw this custom at him, he had no idea what I could do. He was like, I have no idea. And then he thought about it a little bit more, and then he came up geniusly with the idea to use the, guys, I apologize, this is going to be a little awkward, but trust the process. The Jakks Pacific Toon Link World of Nintendo figure, which was just a genius play because they have very similar legs. Now, technically, if you look at Hat Kid, she does have baggier pants in the game, but it didn't really matter to me because my plan always was to not paint this because this is a little short. Instead, I wanted to get a cloth overlay. And literally the only modification I had to make was just cut off the belt. Initially, I was just going to leave it on, but it made a little bit of an awkward bulge there, and I was like, oh, it's a little bizarre. I don't really want this character to have that. The soft goods. Commissioned to Rebel 10 Customs, who is absolutely elite when it comes to soft goods, especially, you know, 1/12 scale soft goods. I basically was just like, hey, I'm going to send this figure over to you so that you can work with her, and then this is what I'm looking for. Super thorough, super consistent. I mean, Rebel 10 is fantastic if you're looking to get some soft goods commissioned, or if you're just looking for some upgrades for some Marvel Legends, go check out her shop. She's absolutely wonderful to work with. And she helped me out with the first and second official custom, so hey, that's awesome. This material itself is very soft and kind of shiny, which I absolutely love. It's different from what I was expecting. There is no wire going on in any of that because there doesn't need to be, obviously. That part doesn't need to be wired. It's because it's just an overlay. It should be like this. Even the way that she did the shirt cuffs is freaking awesome. There's a little bit of an actual seam there, and it works perfectly. I absolutely love it. Now, obviously you can see some green in there, but most of the time you aren't going to see it. It allows for a perfect 90-degree bend that the figure has, and it looks damn near perfect. I could not be happier with the way that it looks. She even nailed the little crystal or ball on Hat Kid's cape here, as well as the zipper. Now, the zipper does tend to just personally bug me a little bit because it is it's a 3D object, and in the real world, and it doesn't always sit perfectly like I would want it to. That's just an OCD thing that triggers me a little bit. But again, this detail is so cool. I'm so glad she got it because it is such a fun detail in the game, and I really, really like it. Probably should be a little bit more orange, but it's kind of inconsistent in the game itself, so I really don't mind. And again, it completely works for me. That was a nitpick, that was not a genuine actual critique there. And of course, you got the wired capes, which is sort of what she's known for. Now, I will say, initially, the cape was very wide, and originally I was kind of like, oh, her cape is a little bit shorter. It just kind of stuck out a little bit to be as being a little bit wide, but with the nice thing with it being wired, that literally doesn't matter because you can fold it and you can mess around with it, and it works really well for action poses. So hey, look, that's more what I think of when I think of Hat Kid's cape, maybe even smaller than that. She does have a really small mini cape, but like I said, you get it like that, and it's damn near perfect. Or if you want to go in crazy poses, you can totally do that too. No problem, right? And that's the benefit of a wired cape, is that you can really do whatever the hell you want with it. You can have a lot of fun with it. The best part, though, of the entire cape is that she got the collar on the neck there, and that just looks so good. You don't really see it too much because of the head situation, but it's just such an important part of the detail that I really genuinely appreciate, because it means, like I said, this character does mean a lot to me, so it is a great effort to see that implemented. It was just so cool. So thank you again, Rebel 10, for making it happen. It's fantastic. And while I mentioned how essential the soft goods was to this custom, and that's still absolutely true, I mean, none of the project would have come together if it weren't for the immaculate head sculpt from Blued Sculptures, or Blue D Sculptures. I believe it's Blued. Amazing person to work with, great work ethic. Got this STL to me in a couple days. Absolutely fantastic. Show Blued some support, because absolutely 100% worth it. This head sculpt turned out so perfectly. Now, I will say, this is my paint job. Partially. It's a bit of a repaint. Ty, actually, so the plan was, I don't have a 3D printer, so what I did was I had to send the STL file to Ty, whose dad owns a 3D printer, so he could print it off, and I wanted him to paint it because I'm a little uncomfortable with painting things. So he basically was like, he basically got back to me and was like, I don't like it. I want you to finish it, or get someone else to do it, because I don't want to do it. did bum me out a little bit. The end result was actually still pretty good. I did like it. Some features were just a little bit fuzzy though, like the eyes were a little light, and then the face wasn't really where I wanted it to be, and I don't think the hair was finished as far as I remember. But I was basically like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to finish it. It was a scary task, but I think I did a pretty decent job. I'm gonna say decent, and I'm gonna emphasize decent because I do not think that this is the best paint job ever. It is quite flawed. I am particularly proud of how the face turned out. The eyes in particular, I think I added a lot of like youthful charm to it. Maybe her eyebrows should be a little bit higher, like she's more like adventurous, but I was basically just going on the sculpt there. The nose too was something that I added a little bit of pink, and I think it totally helps stand out. Her nose in the game is a little bit more rosy. It's not this apparent, like the cheeks are also not supposed to be this rosy, but again, I feel like it adds to her character. I think it adds to the charm of the character. The hair kind of looks awful, I'm not gonna lie. I will say straight up, I don't think this is a finished custom. I need to kind of go back and do some adjustments, especially with like the hat. As you can see, that hat is looking pretty rough. I tried to use masking tape and it just wouldn't work, so I had to repaint this thing like 20 times. Just did not turn out very well, but I am, for the most part, pretty happy with the face. Like I said, the hair isn't perfect. I tried to add some sort of wash and it doesn't really look that good. It looks kind of a little bit dodgy, but going back around, I did paint the back of the hair, and I also did paint the little ponytail, which I wasn't going to do. I didn't have to do, but I'm kind of glad that I did do it. But like I said, my paint job is flawed. It's not exactly amazing, you know, and it's pretty apparent that I still need some work in that area. But I think, for generally speaking, a first timer, I did do some painting with Luffy, but generally speaking, for a face, it's not bad. It helps that it's a bigger, more cartoony face, so I could get away with doing less realistic eyes, and the eyes were bigger too. But you can definitely tell it's not the best. But so when Ty actually came down to visit me for my birthday, he brought the heads along. That's why I have this. He didn't ship it to me. This was one of the first attempts that he did, which did end up failing. Like the head broke off, or the hair broke off, and it just didn't, this one didn't work as well. The raw sculpt looks fantastic, so you guys have a better sense of like what that looked like, because it's just really clean and really solid. Like I said, just perfect job. This is a second version I have that's a little less unpainted. This one turned out pretty good. I am debating either painting this one all myself, which is a risky move, or sending this to someone to paint. But I do worry about how fragile this ponytail is, and I would be worried about not packing it properly. So we'll see, but I'm kind of leaning towards just sending it off to someone else, or having someone else try it. Maybe someone I know, because like local to me, because I would want this to look as good as, and I know for a fact there are some genius painters. There's like some mini painters out there that can make some magic work on this. So yeah. Oh Jesus, it's on there. Good God. Oh, there we go. Good Lord. I was using blue tack to hold that neck piece in, and you see a little bit more of the neck there. It's a long neck, and she also had a lot of space, so it made perfect, you know, not a lot of room. That does mean that she doesn't have a lot of articulation in the head, but again, I am totally, like, perfectly fine. I do not need her to have, like, crazy neck articulation. I actually prefer the head being kind of pushed down all the way. Again, it gives her that sort of stumpier little design, and it feels more hat kiddish to me. I will also say, unfortunately, her stability is pretty awful, especially with this stand. I would say the cape could hold it back, but because of the fact that she has the ponytail, it does kind of mess things up a little bit. You have to be very particular with how you stand her up. And I need to get some sort of stand for her, because she can be a little bit troublesome to get actually posed up. So this parasol, or the umbrella, whatever the hell you want to call it, this is an item in the game, and I actually quite like this. So originally I was looking for fodder for this, and I couldn't find anything. I was stuck. I was like, what do I go with? You know, what do I do? I was looking up and down, I was going all around, and immediately my mind went to the movie Peach figure. That parasol, however, is very skinny, very slim, not very cartoony, doesn't really, like, like poof out like I wanted this one to. It's not very cartoonish, you know, it's more like just an actual like umbrella. And I didn't want that. I wanted something a little bit sillier, and I was like, it has to exist, but I was looking, couldn't find it. And then I never realized way later down the line that the game Peach had exactly what I was looking for. Now, is it 1-for-1 of the game? Absolutely not. The game's like handle is way smaller. It's much like fatter and like chode, you know, more like a chode, I guess. But this 100% gives me the shape I'm looking for at this scale, and that grip couldn't be more perfect. Now, it isn't perfect. This is actually very thin, and it can fall out, but because of the paint on there, applying a bit of, you know, just grip, it has worked out wonders. Now, the paint job on this isn't great. I'll be the first to admit that the paint job of these being stars, you can barely tell they're stars. But again, from far away on a shelf, that one on the back is particularly awful. Okay, there she goes. You can also probably tell that, yes, there is paint chipping already. I didn't like seal this or anything, so unfortunately it's just kind of it's gonna happen. I need to go back over, repaint some things. Like I said, this is not a finished custom yet. I don't feel it's almost finished, but at the same time, it also isn't. By the way, you may have noticed that on the parasol itself, you might notice, I'm not sure, it might be a very subtle detail, but it looks like there's yellow paint on the end. That is actually not yellow paint. It's actually gold metallic paint, because in the game, she has a little bit of a gold trim around there. Just a little detail I figured I'd point out. I mean, it doesn't look very clean, but it is there, so just figured I'd mention it, just so I prove I'm being a little bit accurate to the game. Never mind the fact that these don't look like stars, you know, whatever. Unlike Luffy, who is pretty, you know, he can still function and like stand up on the shelf, this figure can barely stand, and that is a problem. But again, that kind of comes down to the design. This is a very heavy head. The feet don't do shit. I'm thinking I could maybe drill some holes and then get her to actually plug into a stand. But if you guys have any other better suggestions, like something like this, which would be good if it weren't for her stupid ponytail. The articulation on the Link figure isn't amazing. I mean, you basically got that out of the legs, which, hey, that totally works for Hat Kid. That's not a problem. That totally fits the character 100%. The arms do get pretty damn great range. I mean, about 90 degrees, which for the arms is, again, that's perfect. And then the arms do actually kind of lift up. Again, you're not getting any crazy, like, high above her head poses, but again, this is more than I could ask for this character. And then I think there's also a, there appears to be a waist swivel too, but again, it doesn't really, well, it kind of does. It actually is a little bit hidden, so if I wanted to pose her kind of like running, well, I mean, that looks a bit cursed, but you get the idea. I could do that if I wanted to. And then the head should be on a ball joint, but like I said, it don't really do a heck of a lot. I need to do the glue trick, or the hot glue trick that Ty and I did with Luffy. But even then, you wouldn't be able to get much range because of the hair coming down, as well as the ponytail. It would be quite limited. But maybe, at least if I can get some sort of swivel, that would be kind of nice. I don't know. We'll see what I can do with that. Alright, now let's do some size comparisons. And yes, I know it technically probably shouldn't count because she's on her stand, so it's not going to be 100% accurate. You just got to deal with it. So obviously we got to compare her with my very first custom, the Gear 4 Luffy, and I gotta admit, it's pretty cool seeing these two things together. And I mean, if we're comparing Luffys, we might as well just throw in the SHF Luffy there too. Here she is next to two Marvel Legends Spideys, a comic book and an MCU one, a Jack-specific game and movie Mario, a Jack-specific Sonic and Sonic, another Sonic and Sonic, Jada Toys Mega Man and SH Figuarts Pac-Man, a Plenderling and this big-ass Banjo, and finally, NECA Spyro and NECA Crash. Yes, his foot did break, and I'm pissed about it. I'm also pissed about that. So at the end of the day, Hat Kid here isn't perfect, but honestly, I don't really care because I still think she turned out pretty damn great. Quick shoutouts once again to the people who made this custom happen. Obviously got Bionica Sai, or Ty, thank you so much, man, for helping me, inspiring me to make this custom in the first place, for getting the base body, for printing off the heads, and of course, painting it. I really do appreciate it, man. You're awesome. Then, of course, we've got the amazing Rebel 10 Customs, who's responsible for the soft goods. Really just fantastic work, and couldn't be happier about how they turned out. And then, obviously, the amazing Blued Sculptures for just making almost damn near one-to-one recreation of Hat Kid's head from the game. It was like seeing the model brought into real life. It was so freaking crazy. I mean, I still can't believe I actually have this in my freaking possession. It's so damn cool. You know, I'll admit, this isn't exactly the craziest custom or anything. It generally, at the end of the day, it was a pretty simple process. But, I mean, the character on the shelf is a miracle. Now, perfect world scenario, I'd get my own 3D printer and make a bunch of different hats for all the different power-ups she has in the game. That would be incredible, but obviously that's a very expensive and time-consuming hobby. But I would like to maybe make at least another version of this figure. I was thinking about doing Mustache Girl, but the thing is, her design's a little bit more specific, and I don't love Mustache Girl. I don't need her. Hat Kid was really important to me to at least have up on the shelf with the other game characters or whatever, so she was #1 priority. There aren't a lot of characters from that game that I would really desperately want. I mean, maybe the conductor or DJ Grooves, but those are getting so specific. This was kind of a lightning in a bottle type scenario. I got so lucky with this custom, and I don't want to jinx it. So, yeah, I like her. I'm going to hopefully improve her. She's not quite done yet. I just figured at least I would give you guys a video just kind of talking about the process, because this has been an idea since we finished Gear 4 back in 2023. You know, this has been on the docket for a while, so yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy just to have the character in the flesh. I mean, that's what's making me happier. Again, I know, technically speaking, you're not looking at an amazing, crazy custom that's like super well painted or has the best stability or anything like that. It's not supposed to be. It's a custom. It's a labor of love. You know, if you enjoyed making it and expressing yourself, then hey, more power to you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I guess I'll see you sometime in the future. I don't know. Bye-bye.